Hi, and welcome to my second part of a lecture on John Dee and Edward Kelley. That is the Magick and the Alchemy of Dee and Kelley. Let's now go back in time and check out Dee and Kelley when they were on good terms, and in particular, the alchemy of Sir Edward Kelley and his adventures in Bohemia. Sir Edward Kelley was a lawyer, an apothecary, a scryer, an alchemist. He was influenced by Basil Valentinus, Cornelius Agrippa, Trithemius, and obviously by Paracelsus. He was born on the 1st of August 1555 in Worcester, England, and where tradition dates his death on the 25th of November 1597, which would make him age 42 in Bohemia. However, in my book on Kelley, I try to vindicate Kelley and what might have happened to him, certainly after the traditional date of his death in 1597, where I suggest that he may have actually made it even to Russia. Along with Kelley's earlier episodes, legend refers to his discovery of an alchemical book of St. Dunstan and a box containing two files, one red one and one white one. These clearly indicate that it was Kelley's unending interest in alchemy that would eventually lead him to Dee's door, and then along with Rosenberg, Count Rosenberg, on a magical tour of Europe, and more importantly, ending up in the court of Rudolf II in Bohemia, where things would turn for the worse, or have a turn for the worst. Rudolf II, the Holy Roman Emperor, King of Hungary and Croatia, King of Bohemia, and Archduke of Austria, a member of the House of Habsburgs, was born on 18th of July 1552 in Vienna, and he died on the 20th of January 1612 in Prague, where he is buried in an unusual jovial tin coffin in St. Vitus's Cathedral. Castrum Crumnae, the place on the rugged meadow, along with the so-called Disney version of the Golden Lane in Czech Zlatoucha, are well known to tourists, but here in Prague it is the home of the guilds. I still enjoy trying to work out which sign above the doorways represents which guild. Some are still in situ in Prague one and well worth searching out. Goldsmiths, jewellers, artists, architects, engineers, and alchemists. Rudolf would entertain and invite all of them to Prague, including Michael Mayer, Dr. Michael Mayer, John Dee, Kelley, Rabbi Lau, Thaddeus Hauck, Tycho Brahe, Johannes Kepler, and indeed many other notable figures from the period. So, what occult business were they all involved in? Master Fusus, mastering nature. Imitatio Dei, in the imitation of God. Where we find in Paracelsus, the human body is seen as a microcosm, hence his iatrochemistry of the 15th century. In Giordano Bruno, 16th century, the infinity of worlds, the universe, he says, is magical. And William Gilbert, his text on the magnet, action at a distance, the weapon salve, again 16th century. From Johannes Kepler, mathematical relationships reveal the ultimate secrets of the cosmos, again 16th century, leading to Copernicus in the 16th century, where the heliocentric system is seen as the source of all life and where mathematical harmony, he argues, trumps common sense. For Dee and Kelley, their trip had been made possible through Wilhelm von Rosenberg, 1535 to 1592. The Rosenberg family owned and controlled several castles, villages, and much mineral wealth from the mines, which were all closely allied to the guilds. From Rudolf, Kelley would receive various properties in Prague and the outlying villages, but it was from von Rosenberg that Kelley would receive the Liberici Castle, the farm Nova Liben, and 9 villages. Kelley's royal patronage was, however, soon followed by a duel with one Jerry Hinkler, whom Kelley kills. Kelley then sought refuge in Rosenborg's Český Krumlov, but the emperor captured him and put him in Krivoklat castle, where he spent 2.5 years, and where he wrote his famed 2 treatises on alchemy. These were dedicated, funnily enough, to his captor, Rudolf. Yet, even intercessions from Queen Elizabeth I and from Wilhelm von Rosenborg, they failed, and this led to the legend of Kelley's death while trying to escape, denied with other sources in my book. However, Kelley's stepdaughter, Elizabeth Jane Weston, went on to become a famous English-Czech poet. Known for her Neo-Latin poetry, she had the unusual distinction for a woman of the time of having her poetry published and recognised in the court of Emperor Rudolf II. Who I said he died in 1612, and then she was later buried in Bohemia. Rosenborg and the Guild's wealth can be seen in the IAG, the International Alchemy Guild's portal at 77 Sirakowa Street, Český Krumlov. It is linked directly to the Rosenborg family and to alchemy, and the building itself is linked from at least 1588 through to 1594, especially with that of alchemy. Time now to meld Magick and alchemy with Scientia and Philosophia, the Rosicrucians. We see in the Fama Fraternitatis and the Confessions of 1614, along with the Chemical Wedding 1616, they invite us to explore allegorical castles, mines, gardens, fountains, and wherein we will seek to obtain initiation and instructions by letting nature be our guide. The guide will lead us to the materia prima, or at least that is what we hope. 36. Let's see if we can find at least one materia prima. But note, a huge alchemical clue is found in the Bohemian Massif, where the rapid cooling of warm hydrothermal fluids produce SbAu, where gold postdates the stibium. Au gold, Sb stibnite. Therefore, nature perhaps offers the alchemist a clue in transformation. First, digging in, and where from 2 waters we will produce one, that is from the red and the white. The alchemist must hunt deep within the mine, explore the normally closed mystical palace of the king. When one discovers the materia, it is then placed within the athanor, the furnace, where hermetic theoria and theurgical practices will guide the alchemist's transformation of material and indeed themselves. The athanor, or alchemical furnace, this is both a mystical and a practical tool where magic and alchemy become part of the overall tradition of initiation. The entrance and the grades that can lead to the hermetic phoenix, yet one must follow the rabbit, yet where some will forever remain permanently blindfolded, as in the image. Yet, ultimately all is one. This is referenced as Mercurius and or the stone, the lapis. Kelley's interests relate to the path of the sun and the production of aurum potabile. Hermetic theoria and alchemical praxis is the same when the will takes place in the laboratoria. That is where one must labor ora, work and pray. The alchemists believe that their calling and work is a donum Dei, a gift of God. Edward Kelley's Tractus Dua Erigidi Lapida Philosophorum una cum theatro astronomia theatrum terrestris astronomia. Get the joke? It's all about terrestrial astronomy, where metals equate to the planets, hidden in the mines. Kelley has made particular use of Paracelsus and Valentinus, their work, to produce a small masterwork which will later be picked up by Irenaeus Philalethes, and where we find that in Kelley's initiation into the art, the metals and the tria prima can be accessed via a specific materia prima, and mentioned by Valentinus in his 12 Keys, and more so his triumphal chariot of antimony. In my own alchemical study and praxis, I used Irenaeus Philalethes, that's Aka George Starkey, 1628 to 1675, whose works helped me in decoding Kelley's Theatrum, which was first published in 1676, but obviously written around 1591 to 1592 when he was imprisoned in Prague. So, in decoding alchemical texts and iconography, we must learn to deal not only with symbolism, allegory, iconography, but also with textual, use the German Decknamen, dispersion, parathesis, and syncope. We must engage with the materials and the 5 stages, all with hidden Decknamen coded terms. As in the furnace, the correct colours represent levels of transformatio, transformation, and these are sometimes hidden in the forms of animals, real and mythical, such as the wolf and the dragon, along with metals which relate to planets, Mars, Venus, the Sun, etc. The unusual one is for most the secret fire, which is central to our art. Let's begin. Firstly, we need our glorious antimony, that is the dragon or our grey wolf Decknamen. So now, overview, we must cast to him the body of the king, and when he's devoured it in a great fire, the king will be liberated. Antimony, therefore, is alloyed with gold and heated in order to purify the gold. But to do this, the alchemist needs a few little added extras. Iron Man. Mars must be added to the stibium, sometimes referenced, I should say, as 3 nails worth. That is actual physical nails. Introducing copper. Venus. Tricky. From Basil Valentinus' first key, we see the work on antimony and iron in the production of Stare Martial Regulus. But in Kelley, we will also discover that reguli can also be created not only from Mars and Venus, but also Saturn, lead, Jupiter, tin, and where it will become reguli. So, the alchemist must let the fixed become volatile. Gold, as I said, we need. The sun will also be used, and whereby we sow it in the earth. Decknamen. We can't forget that one of our key ingredients is that of our secret fire, sometimes referred to as niter or salt. Calcinated sea salt can also be used. And remember, small quantities of gold can be produced even from out of the sea, but one must first learn to make the fixed volatile. And now, preparation of the starfire, or that of our Stare Martial Regulus. Combining or feeding antimony with iron, the nails, the dragon feeds on Mars. Remember Decknamen, the dragon or the wolf, antimony, feeding on iron, Mars. Slowly add the Suffolk fire, that's our secret salt. The antimony dragon becomes liquefied. The wolf feeds on Mars, Decknamen. Filtering the first dragon into a conical crucible. The fixed becomes volatile, and as I mentioned, we must now sow the golden seed, and where a liquor will descend, look closely. Now, in the case of Stare Martial Regulus, the starfire, one must filter off. That is, purification as we go in search of the Orient star. The scuria and the regulus are still together. Therefore, separation. We must separate the regulus from the vitriol. But here is the secret, for the sperma, the seed, is in the scuria. So one plan is to crack it open. Purificatio, purification. We move towards the light where our stare regulus can now be purified. Yet, Kelley will take us one stage further on the way to the creation of the Hermetic child, or Mercurius. From the conjunctio, that is, of the white and red powders, the two being conjoined or married. One will probably ask, so what's all this for? Well, there are obvious material gains, medicinal gains, but also personal transformational gains. It's all part of the great work of Mercurius. As you can see, if we go back to the Decknamen or coded terms we use for such as lead, silver and gold, they are linked, as is everything, through sympatheia, sympathy. Here is Kelley's secret offering to the aspiring alchemist. You must make all reguli and then combine them, combine all of them. This is achieved through lunar and solar, or the white and red mixtures that one will have previously made. Kelley takes us even further. The process known as iosis, where this, if I am correct, leads to the final purpling after conjunction of the red and white powders, which are given up through the manipulation and creation of the reguli, and that wherein will be produced the secret jovial elixir. To complete our short survey, many ask about the materia prima, and particularly that of our secret fire, which can be found at all levels of existence. And whether one chooses to work with spagyrics, more forgiving rather than mineral alchemy, or even with my favourite celestial agriculture, through dew, it is how the individual approaches and develops their own particular theoria and praxeis, for these will determine their own magical and alchemical outcomes and the individual's understanding of all of the processes that are involved. One must use the hands. Alchemy, therefore, depends on your choice of materia prima. But after all, one and all is Mercurius, all from one and one from all. The fons mercurialis, the mercurial fountain. Solve et coagula, separate and then recombine. Vitriolium, finally labora et constantia, labour and persevere. Many thanks for staying the course. My book contains a more detailed translation and commentary on Kelley's alchemical work, as well as the relevant parts of Dee's diaries and the arguments surrounding the function of the scrying episodes, along with that of Kelley's unfortunate demise. But we should bear in mind that even Elizabeth had asked for Kelley's return. Many thanks, and please join us on Black Lodge Publishing, YouTube and Facebook. Catch you next time.